really we didn't find anything that justified the cost. Still, people are taking that product. Right? So you will still find a lot of those products in the market for that purpose. A lot of companies, when they try to sell you the product, they give you a beautiful story. Usually the story goes like this. My grandparents got lost in the jungle. Okay, they find this tree. They almost died. When they find this tree, and the tree has this fruit, they take the fruit and they eat, they survive. Now I'm bringing the juice of this fruit to you. One of the mistakes this company from U.S. I know they made, they tried to sell mangosteen to Filipinos. They didn't realize mangosteen was from the Philippines. Okay, and we tell them this magical power. And people say, yeah, I know, I had it for breakfast. Right, so there's a lot of that kind of problems. And sometimes there are Chinese companies and tell the Westerns the story. This is a recipe from the palace. And my great-great-great-grandfather was, working for the king in the palace, serving the queens. Now the recipe is in my hand. Now we got the product out of it. They just don't know the history of China. Anybody working in the palace with the queen were actually neutered, so they will never have any children. Right? So so basically, a lot of companies try to sell you are the stories. Finding interesting. So that's a third generation of type. It's based on some kind of herb, some kind of extract. Sometimes we don't know the active ingredients. Sometimes it's urban legend works. Sometimes it has certain benefits we simply just don't know enough about it. The problem is when you don't know what's the active ingredient, how do you do quality control? Right? You don't even know what works. Right? Now it comes to the fourth generation. The fourth generation is we realize our body is complicated. There's different components, and when we study different things, we understand what's the active ingredients and how we put them together. When I go into every individual products, you understand why I'm saying that. Now let's just take the case value for that. So the important thing is we use something from the nature, so it's not synthetic. So we know a lot more about it. Right? It's not something that's been around for 10, 15 years. A lot of components that's been around for hundreds of years. Like the green tea. The Chinese have been drinking green tea for hundreds of years. So at least we know they're safe. Right? It's not something synthetic. Yesterday we don't really know the toxicity. When you look at me, you find evidence of that. If you look at my teeth is very brown. I don't smoke. I used to smoke, and I can tell you when I had this brown teeth when I was a teenager. Why? It's actually tetracycline. It's antibiotics. When it first was created, it was treated as a miracle drug because it kills all bacteria. So my generation, when we initially grew up in China, when I was 7 or 8 years old, both my parents are doctors, so I had a lot of tetracycline. Anytime I have an infection, they give me that. Right? And then 10 years later, they realized tetracycline also harms your teeth. It will make your teeth into brownish color. So when I look at people from China, when they look at the teeth, I know how old they are. The only people around my age I know had a very clean teeth was someone that was born and raised in Tibet. They have no access to more modern medicine, so he survived the suffering. So those are the active ingredient from the nature of their safe. This is very important to us. Now, because of that, okay, this is the foundation. We know what works, why it works. Now we can do quality control. Okay, but quality control from FKC itself is not good enough. We're the manufacturer, right? We produce it. So what do? We're leveraging FDA, right? In the U.S., there's a set of regulations called the GMP, Good Manufacturing Practice. It's actually a set of regulation laws designed by FDA. But remember, it's not designed for food supplements. It's actually designed for pharmaceuticals. Because pharmaceuticals has to be produced in such a fashion where the quality is absolutely controlled. Because you want your patients to have the same medication every single time. For supplements, no such requirement. But FKC voluntarily subject all our products for GMP regulations since day one. For a simple reason, for a very selfish reason, I just want to sleep better at night. I don't want to worry about this batch going to be good or that batch going to be bad. Every single batch is controlled. I need to explain GMP a little bit more because a lot of you here in the Philippines heard about GMP regulation, but you don't. The meaning of GMP here in the Philippines is different from GMP in the U.S. When people come to me and say, Kenny, is GMP very easy to be certified? I say, yeah, it's easy. You know why? Because the regulation's there. Just follow the regulation. You do everything by the paper, by the book, you will be certified. However, the most difficult part is maintaining GMP. Because it's not a one-time deal. It's not like you're certified for GMP, you're good for life. Every 6 months, our products has to go through GMP certification. If you go to our website right now, we actually have a scanned copy. Actually, one of our posters also has a scanned copy of our GMP certification. It's only good for 6 months. So every 6 months, we have to submit our documentation for FDA for regulation. And FDA also schedule unexpected visit to the facility and making sure. So this is doing a boring thing every single day. I mean, think about this. If you have to do everything, every move, how you wash your test tube, how you clean your room, how you prepare your sample, every single thing you do is controlled by the government. Everything has to be documented. It's a very, very tough job. Right? But for me, that's one of the major things making me sleep better, at night. So I know our products are controlled. So luckily for us, for the last 11 years, FKC's products has been on the market. We never had a single incident of adverse effect because of FKC products quality. We don't have that. If you applaud to that, you actually applaud and or wish that the other thing will happen. Because if there is a quality-related issue to FKC products, you're guaranteed by $5 million US. That's the insurance we purchase on our products. So that's one of the ways to become a millionaire. Okay. So that's the quality part. This is very important because you cannot just assuming a product from the U.S. is high quality. Because actually 90 to 95% of products, supplements, sold in the U.S. on the shelf are not GMP certified. Why? They're not required to do so. By doing GMP certification, you significantly increase the cost of your production because there's just tons of paperwork. You have to hire experts, scientists to be able to follow the regulation. As simple as that. Okay, so that's the fact of our products. When we go and look at the products, this is go back to 11 years. Okay, when we design the product, I have two things in my mind. Okay, number one thing is, what is food supplement designed for? You have to understand this. Because I already told you earlier, we are no longer in the domain of pure food supplements. But because today we can eat everything we need from the food. Especially here in the Philippines. We can have all the nutrients, all the minerals, everything. I mean, we still have people who have unbalanced diet, but that's not the majority. Majority of us have the proper intake already. So what is the number one issue we have? The number one issue we have is every day we're being challenged by the environment we're living in. Again, as I told you earlier, our body is not trained for the lifestyle we have today. Sometimes I tell people, I say, do you know where is the largest McDonald's in the world? Everybody will be saying New York, Los Angeles. I know it's actually in Beijing, China. It has 79 cash registers. Wow. And can serve thousands of people at the same time. And when you go there, there is not a line. It's a flood of people. You come in on one side and you go out on the other side. And then the serving area is like a plaza. You have 79. I mean, think about it. Just imagine 79 cash registers. Sitting next to each other is incredible. When you walk on the streets of Manila, when you walk on the streets of Beijing, when you walk on the street of Shanghai, or when you walk on the street of New York City, you will see all those what we call Burger King kids. We call those McDonald's babies. Right? They all look like a tire. Right? They're all overweight. They don't exercise. In the U.S., the numbers are very appalling. I have a personal experience of this because I fly a lot. Sometimes I get bored. So one time I was on Alaska Airlines, flying from Oakland to Orange County. My seat is 1A, so I was the first one at the airplane. I got on very early that day, so I was sitting there. I take out a book, put it on my, on my leg, and I was reading it. But when people passing by me, I can see that. For some reason, on that day, I started counting. First one comes past by, I say fat. Next one, I say fat. The people just screaming, and there's about 220 some people passing by me on that day. So overweight, obese, fat. So at the end of it, I did the tally. Roughly about 60 to 65% are overweight. Statistically speaking, that's the overweight population in the U.S. as well. Right? So sometimes I literally see one guy sitting in the lap of another woman because they're both too big for one seat. No joking at all. It was so ridiculous. Eventually, the flight attendant come over and said, "Sir, I'm going to offer you a different seat in the front because both of them are bigger than one seat." Incredible. So the food intake is incredible. Okay. And also today, if you pay any attention to the news, and you will realize that air pollution is incredible. Okay. I remember in 2010 when I came to the Philippines for the very first time, when the plane was ready to land, the pilot was announcing, "Welcome to Manila." I looked over the window, I couldn't find it. You see, everything is just so murky, right? And then the airplane started dying down. I'm like, oh my God, please make sure we have radar on because you really don't know where the airport is. And the guy was just dying down. And after we get really close to the ground, everything started to clear up, and then we landed. Okay. And then once I get out of the airport, I realized I'm actually still in the airport because everything wasn't moving. Right? There's so many cars. You can see the air pollution. You don't need to smell it. You don't feel it. You can see the air pollution. That's the environment we're in right now. Okay. I don't know the statistics here in the Philippines, but in the U.S., in the drinking water, they find 200 different chemicals, ranging from daily detergent all the way to pills, contraceptive, drugs, and so on and so forth. If they can find 200 different components in the U.S. drinking water, how much do you can think they can find here in the Philippines? I would imagine at least 200. Right? While your water is not clean, everything else is not clean. When you grow the crops, you use the water. When you wash, you use the water. You can get rid of bacteria from the drinking water very easily, but you cannot get rid of chemicals from the drinking water that easily. So all of this is causing problem. And the worst of the worst is the Filipino food. Okay, I've been invited to many Filipino families and to have dinner or have parties with them. I never see anything green. You have seafood, you have deep fried seafood, you have salty seafood, you have salty seafood for breakfast. And the one I love most is the pork belly, and you fry it. You want to make sure you have enough fat in it. Right. So all of that. So when I first came here, when I was doing our first batch of FKC members are actually government officials. There was a reason I made them members, because they realized we need to get approval right away. They asked me to do presentation. At that time, no one had any exposure to FKC products yet. So I didn't really know where to start, because for me to go through the products will take about 3 hours. They don't have 3 hours. So I asked them, I said, what are the 3 major issues facing Filipinos today on a daily basis? Okay, they say, okay, there are 3 issues that we have concern with. Number 1 issue is diabetes. We have a lot of people suffer from diabetes today. That's number 1 thing. I say, okay, diabetes, what does that tell you? It's a lifestyle-related issue. Right? It's as simple as that. Some people say it's genetics, but trust me, it's more lifestyle-related than genetics. Okay, what is the second issue? It's arthritis. Again, it's a lifestyle-related issue. Right? You don't get hit by a car and say I have arthritis. Right? It's a lifestyle-related issues. Right? And then what is the third one? So they say overweight. They go, well, that's somehow related to diabetes as well, because you have a higher rate of diabetes versus in overweight population versus the regular weight population. So all of the issues that we're facing every day are not really cancer, are not really dramatic disease, but just all these average issues. But at the same time, there are also issues you may not aware as a top one, but it's so critical to our life, which, for example, hepatitis. Especially in Asia, hepatitis is a major issue. It's contagious, it can cause a lot of problems, and also it doesn't kill you actually. It doesn't kill you right away. It actually reduces your quality of life and it makes you, I think this is the worst part, makes you a burden of your family. Right? So after I'm telling you all of this, what's my point? My point is FKC products are designed when you have an issue related to your lifestyle. This is the most important thing. So we're not here to say, oh, I have a deficiency in calcium, take the calcium. No. When you are polluted, what do you have in your body? You have toxins. Doesn't matter how much vitamins you take. Doesn't matter how much calcium. Doesn't matter how much vitamin C you take. Your toxins are still inside toxins. You need to help your body to get rid of it. That's as simple as that. Right. When you have a fatty liver, because of your diet, no vitamin can help you. You have to do two things. One is stop eating the way you are. Second is taking products to help your liver to regenerate or heal itself. That's what it is. We have to understand. I think what I'm telling you right now is more important than the individual components of the products, because those you can always research online. Okay, what I'm telling you is based on the past 11 years experience, and there's a lot of articles I've read. Another important thing, about those supplements, I already told you several information. Let me just summarize very shortly. Okay, number one, supplements are designed for different purposes. Not all supplements are the same. There are typically 4 different generations or 4 different types. So we understand that. Second, for a supplement to work, you have to understand the active ingredients so you can do quality control. And the third, our products are controlled not only by FKC but by FDA as well. Okay. And the last thing before I dive into individual products, you have to understand the difference between food supplements and medicine. FKC is not selling medication and medicine. But you say, Kenny, based on my personal experience, they're almost like the same, right? I have certain issues. I can either take medicine or I can take FKC products, and I'll see, also improve my condition. Is it same, or why is not why I cannot call FKC product as medicine? For a simple reason, they're designed and they function differently. How a medicine works doesn't matter what kind of medicine. Medicine is working almost as interference. Right? For example, if you have a cut, you have a bacteria that goes into your bloodstream. We take antibiotics. What does antibiotics do? They attack those bacteria right away. It doesn't rely on your immune system. It just assumes your immune system is not there. It works on it right away. Right? When you have cancer, people give you chemo. What does the chemo do? It goes to the target and try to kill those bacteria, those cancerous cells. It doesn't rely on your immune system. So what the medication is almost like an emergency remedy. Something bad happened to you, something very accurate happened to you, something very critical happened to you. It comes in, it doesn't assuming yourself have any kind of capability and try to solve that problem for you. Because of that purpose, because of that reason, several things may happen. Number one thing is, you may develop dependency on it. Like for example, for those people who are diabetic, they take medications, you may see the trend is as they grow older, they start to take more and more medication. Because their body, because the medication never assumed your body has any capability. And because of they're very strong, your body depends on them more. So your body gradually loses its own capability and depends on medication more. Right? That's so that's number one thing is your dependency becomes greater and greater. And the second thing is it comes in as a blunt force. Like the way for example, when we do chemo, this is almost like a shotgun solution. It's trying to kill the cancer cell before it kills you. Right? That's what it is. So this is why chemo are well defined. There's a time frame. You cannot be on chemo all the time. Right? It's usually defined 1 month or 2 months period. And during this process, they constantly checking, the health of your kidney, the health of your liver, and so on and so forth. Right? Because this chemical will just come in and it just basically do harm, not only to the cancer cells, but also to healthy cells. So it's not a harmony with your body.
right? So all of that. And the third, of course, certain medicines have a lot of high side effects. Right? You take this, you have a big side effect. And sometimes those side effects are very significant. So the doctor will advise you to say, you can take this, but you cannot take this for too long, because the side effects will actually cause you more harm than solving it. What does the supplement do? Or what does products like FKC's products do? We don't assuming your body doesn't do anything. Actually, we come in and we try to help your body to be able to fight those situations even more. So because of that, when your issue is related to lifestyle, our products really shine. Right? Because our products come in and work with your body, increase your immune system, help your body to do antioxidation, help your liver to be more efficient to get rid of the toxins, so we can work with you. So if it's lifestyle related, FKC product really works. But when you have an emergency, you get hit by a car and you say, what product should I take? Let's go to the hospital. Right? And also, we need to intervene early enough. We maintain our car when it's brand new. Same thing, our body has to be maintained when it's brand new. I was always joking with people. I say, don't call me when you're on the back of the ambulance, and with your liver bleeding and say, Kenny, what product should I use? You're already outside that domain. When your liver is healthy, you should use our products. When you're not healthy, when you have that emergency situation, you need to see a doctor. Right. So a lot of companies, when they do presentations talk about their products, they ask you to read a book to say what your doctors will do that will actually kill you, or the things your doctor don't know will kill you, something like that. So they basically try to make doctors your enemies. At FKC, our concept is totally different. Personally, I can't, because 60% of my relatives are doctors. My mom is a pathologist, my father is a cardiovascular. So I grew up in hospitals. Right? But the most important thing is we are not against medicine. We are just working at a different stage of the medicine, of the health. We work with medicine together. What we are also doing is we are giving doctors more weapons or more tools to maintain health. I always tell people the responsibility of the doctor is not to cure disease. The responsibility of the doctor is to maintain health. Don't ever forget about it. Right? Sometimes we have this habit. When you try to buy a product or when you try to introduce a product to other people, they always say, oh, God, this thing is $50, too expensive, or this thing is 1,000 pesos, too expensive. They actually never questioned their doctor's prescription. Now, when a doctor gives you a prescription, you think it works by this. Can I take twice a day instead of one time? Can I double the dosage myself because I want to get rid of this disease? They never think about it. Our purpose is, let's don't wait for that long. We have a specialist, Dr. King, as our medical doctor in the U.S. He's trained from Chicago University. He has all the degrees you can think of. I'm sure you all know this. In the U.S., medical doctors make a lot of money, right? But when he comes to FKC, so I was actually surprised. After he was hired, after we become friends, I actually asked him, because I think it's a little bit rude at the beginning asking the question. As a doctor, you're well trained, right? Why you come to FKC and help us with this? He said, Kenny, as a doctor, it's almost like I'm watching the final episode of all the TV series. Because I'm an emergency room doctor, I'm training in cancer therapy. So when people come to me, it's always when they have a terminal ill. I'm watching the final episode of the TV series, and it's always a sad ending. And there's nothing I can do about it. Right? But I know if I intervene early enough, if in episode 1, I just change the script a little bit, I know in episode 20, the result will be different. Now, when they come to me, it's already episode 20. All I can do is to prolong that episode 20 a little bit longer. But their quality of life is different, and usually it's much more expensive to do that. So this is the reason, I'm still practicing medicine, but this is the reason I get involved with FKC is I won't get involved early enough. That's the difference. You may be running 5 minutes a day. Trust me, 5 minutes running a day will make your life run much longer. Don't get a cancer. Where's the treadmill? Run. It doesn't work that way. Right. So once you understand that supplements and medicine are designed differently, they function differently, this is why because the supplement is helping the body to be stronger. There is no dependency on our product. You're not going to be addicted to FKC products, but you may be addicted to certain medications. Right? So our products are very safe to use. So now let me go to the products. We have 15 products, but we brought to 13 of them. When people look at a product, they will say, "Hey, Kenny, how do I use them?" Right? There's so many of them. I don't know the components. What's the best way for them to? Yeah. Or who should I recommend? Should I recommend to the healthy people, or I should recommend to a regular person, so on and so forth. As well, actually, we have a system built in to make it very easy to do that already. Okay. When you look at the name of the product, and you don't understand what that means, the product is for everybody. Right? When you look at the bottle, it says ingenious. What does that mean? I don't know. It's actually a Latin word for natural talent. But without me telling you, without you go to Google or dictionary, you don't understand what ingenious means. Right? So ingenious is for everyone. Okay. When we say try antioxidant, what does that mean? I don't know. It doesn't relate to anything. It's for everybody. Right? When we say liver right, everybody knows that's for liver. Right? Who do you recommend? Anyone with a liver problem. Right? When we talk about joint again, you give to people with joint issues. So on and so forth. So it's very easy for you to understand by just looking at the names. When you don't know the names, don't know the meaning of the name, it's for everyone. Okay? So let me start with something pretty simple. Again, the way I do presentations is from simple from something more specific to something more generic. So it's easier for you to remember the situation. We have a pair of products. One is called Stomach Pure, one is called Regenesis. Okay, this actually came from a trip that I made in China in 2008 or 2007, I forgot. Some people ask me, hey, since FKC products are not based on traditional Chinese medicine, so where's the recipe coming from? Our recipe typically coming from two different sources. The number one source is actually we're working with top universities in the States. Right. In the universities, when they have PhD programs, typically what they do is they have a PhD or group of PhD students. They are creating some kind of a subject. They will apply for grants for that subject. And they do research. Sometimes they do animal studies, human studies. They're not called clinical trials because they don't involve enough patients. Usually about 30 to 50 people. That's a pretty big human studies already. And end of that research, what they produce, paper. They have a graduation thesis that which gives them a PhD degree. They take that paper and they put it in the library, and they never visit it again. Hopefully someday some other scientist might search. In this days with internet, it's easier. In the old days, it's very difficult to find that article to say, oh, here's some good information. What FKC is doing is we have a group of scientists constantly scanning the latest documentations or thesis from the universities, so we can work with them and convert some of that into products that we have. Relaxing is an example, China Healthcare is an example, Stomach Pure is an example. Yeah, during my trip to China at that time, I invited a lot of high-ranking government officials to have dinner with me. But I find a very interesting problem is we were very friendly, the conversation was very funny, we were having a good time, but they were not eating. I'm like, okay, I set up this thing, I ordered the food, they're not eating, something wrong with me. Right? So afterwards, I asked the entourage, I said, hey, what is this? How come, governor doesn't like this food, blah, 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 and so forth. They said, well, actually, Kenny, there's nothing wrong with your food. But trust me, because of their position, they have the same meal 5 times a day. Right? They have enough seafood. They have a lot of, all these great dishes people probably, doesn't have access to, but they have so many times. So they all have stomach ulcer. So what they do is they actually don't eat, but when they go home, they eat congee, they eat the homemade cooking. Right? So, and then I started to pay attention. I realized actually the stomach ulcer is not just an issue in China, but also in many countries, especially in Asia. So when I go back to the States and I talk to the doctors, the PhDs in-house, I say, let's investigate stomach ulcer, let's find out what is the causes of this, and then let's see whether we can figure out any products. So luckily for us, The year before I said this, there were 2 scientists from Austria who were rewarded Nobel Prize exactly because of their study in stomach ulcer. In 1980, I think it's 84, they find there's a correlation between a bacteria called H. pylori to stomach ulcer. Actually, 80% of stomach ulcer is created or caused by this bacteria. They were able to prove it one way or another. They were brave enough, do an exam on themselves. They don't have a stomach ulcer. They have a petri dish of this bacteria. They drink it, and then sometime days later, they check again. They have stomach ulcer. So they were able to prove the correlation. And also, one alarming thing that they also found out is 100% stomach cancer patients have this bacteria. It's so significant. The World Health Organization actually labeled H. pylori as a carcinogen, meaning the agent that can cause cancer. Right. So we were so lucky to find, there's such a, rewards out there. There's a lot of scientists already developed studies around this. So our Stomach Pure was based on not one article, but hundreds of different research papers out there, and come with a solution. Okay. Inside the Stomach Pure, what do we have?